What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Before we talk about the unified heavyweight champion, AJ, we're going to talk about the actor slash comedian, AJ Johnson. Before I break down this fight that's going down this Saturday, I want to say RIP to AJ Johnson, known as Ezell in the movie Friday, one of my all-time favorite movies. Now that's 3 actors that have passed away that was in the movie Friday. You talk about Debo, he passed away due to COVID-19. They call him Tiny Lister. I believe that's his name. That's his nickname is Tiny. I know his last name is Lister. Then we talk about the other actor slash comedian, John Witherspoon. So that's 3 actors that have passed away that was in that movie Friday. So I just want to give a shout out to AJ Johnson, man. I went to a play of his, man. Let me make this story short, man, so we break down this heavyweight title fight coming up this Saturday. But I went to a play. That's when them plays were real popular. You remember when Tyler Perry was doing those plays? Those plays were real popular. This wasn't a Tyler Perry play, but this was a play. Down in downtown Houston, I went to it, and AJ was in that play. And he played he played the basically comedic role in that play. You know, cracking jokes, being funny, saying what's up on top of his head. You could tell he was doing a lot of ad-libbing in that play. They basically told him, say, look here, man, we got a storyline on this play. And we basically want you to just do you, be you. He basically made that play, man. Had the whole crowd rolling, man. Cracking jokes, being funny, making a serious situation, shedding light on a serious situation. You know, bringing comedy to a serious situation, you know. And it was good play overall, man. But I seen the guy live, man. I just want to say my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. Let's talk about the unified heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, nicknamed AJ. Now he's going to be taking on former undisputed cruiserweight champion and #1 WBO heavyweight contender. And he's in a mandatory position to take on Joshua. Now you've heard this old saying in the sport of boxing for a long time now. A good big man beats a good little man. Or you heard this. A great big man beats a great little man. And for Oleksandr Usyk to win this fight, he's going to have to be a great little man beating a good big man. That's going to be what he's going to have to be to win this fight. And from what I'm seeing, I watched a lot of Oleksandr Usyk fights. You know, he was in the Super 6, whatever they call that thing, that cruiserweight tournament that they had a couple years ago. And that fight he won in the finals against Gassiev. A lot of people thought Gassiev won that fight. I thought he beat Gassiev. I thought he out-pointed Gassiev, but he showed vulnerabilities in that fight, and he showed vulnerabilities in the Tony Bellew fight. I thought Tony Bellew was outboxing. He was doing a good job, Bellew that is, of countering Oleksandr Usyk. And he was able to win that fight, especially in the first half of that fight. I thought he was winning. In the second half of the fight, I thought he was slowing down. I thought the pressure of Oleksandr Usyk was starting to get to him. And I thought the weight loss ultimately was Tony Bellew's demise. Was the weight loss. You know, he had fought his last 2 previous fights at heavyweight when he defeated David Haye, the Haymaker. So he had to go down and weight. And the same thing that affected him, I think, affected Roy Jones Jr. Remember when he beat he beat John Ruiz. Old John Ruiz, who held a heavyweight title in the early 2000s. He defeated him. Instead of staying at heavyweight, well, it was much more lucrative fights with Lennox Lewis, who was the #1 heavyweight at the time. And then you had Mike Tyson, who was a former shell of himself, but still was a draw, still was knocking out top 10 heavyweights. He could have fought him. He could have fought Evander Holyfield, who arguably was the #2 heavyweight at that time. He had a lot of fights lined up, but he let a guy come up on him in his press conference, run his mouth, that being Antonio Tarver, and basically get him so upset that he ended up going down to not cruiserweight, but to light heavyweight, losing damn near 25 pounds, and that affected him in that fight. He won that fight, but he was not the Roy Jones of old, and then he ended up fighting him in a rematch and getting knocked out, put to sleep, like Antonio Tarver gave him some NyQuil. But as far as this matchup goes, man, I think this is an example, in my opinion, of a good big man taking on a good little man. That's why I like Anthony Joshua in this particular matchup, because I think only way that Oleksandr Usyk can win this fight is by decision. I don't see him winning the decision in the UK. I think the fight is semi-close, semi-competitive. AJ gonna get the decision. AJ just got through signing a lifetime contract with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. Basically, Anthony Joshua signed his life away to Matchroom Boxing. He can't fight under no other promotional company. Now, as far as this matchup goes, man, I think both fighters will really have a leg up on each other. They both use a jab. If either one of them decide to be consistent behind the jab, I think both guys can actually do a lot of good things in this fight. And that's the problem I have with both of these fighters. They have inconsistent jabs. I'm not saying that the jab is inconsistent in a fight. I'm saying the jab is inconsistent as far as their usage. They don't use the jab enough. When you look at the Usyk fight with Derek Chisora, he was able to use the jab very good in that fight to kind of keep Derek Chisora at bay. But when you watch him when he fought Tony Bellew in a fight previously, he didn't use the jab that much. He didn't use the jab nearly enough. And he was basically coming in with combination. He basically putting the pressure on Tony Bellew. You would have thought Usyk was coming down from heavyweight to cruiserweight, and Tony Bellew was a natural cruiserweight. The way the fight was unfolded, because it was like Usyk was the aggressor. He was a guy that was in attack mode, and basically Tony Bellew was a guy that was standing on the outside looking to counter. Now, if that Usyk shows up against Anthony Joshua, it could be problems. It could be problems. He's going to have to fight more like he fought in the Derek Chisora fight, but he's going to have to be much more precise with his punches. He's going to have to land a higher percentage of his punches that he did in the Derek Chisora fight, that's for sure. And I think when you look at both of these guys now, Oleksandr Usyk is a southpaw. He's a southpaw fighter, so his power punches the left hand, which could pose problems to Anthony Joshua, who's an orthodox fighter. Now, I think Anthony Joshua is a guy that's, again, inconsistent with his jab, just like Usyk. When you look at the Joseph Parker fight, I thought he did a good job of utilizing his jab in that fight, as he was able to keep Joseph Parker at bay and keep Joseph Parker's punch output very low. But then when you look at when he fought his last fight against Kubat Kulev, he's basically in that fight, landing combination shots. He was looking to land power shots, combinations. He was looking to set up the uppercut. And that's basically AJ's blueprint. He is what you call a classic combination puncher. And his money punch is the uppercut. He's going to be looking to do that. He's going to be looking to land the combination shots, get Usyk on the back foot, preferably against the ropes, and land that uppercut. And if he's able to do that, then he should win this fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, when you look at Oleksandr Usyk, he's a combination puncher too. He's looking to land a straight left hand. He uses that right jab more as a range finder, but he's looking to land combinations too. And I think if this fight turns into a chess match in the middle of the ring, where both guys are basically in a quote-unquote skill contest, I think that's going to suit Oleksandr Usyk better than it does Anthony Joshua. especially as longer the fight goes. If we in the 8th, 9th, 10th round and both guys have done some good things, and you know, it's pretty much an even fight, and it's coming down to okay, I'm gonna make this move. I'm gonna make this adjustment. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. If that's the case, I give the edge to Oleksandr Usyk in that particular equation if it plays out that way. If it becomes like a thinking man's type of fight, like I said, a chess match, I like Oleksandr Usyk in that particular matchup. If it comes to like a matchup of, okay, I'm going to implement my size and my skill set to your size and your skill set, then I like Anthony Joshua in that particular scenario. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. I like Anthony Joshua to win a decision. I think the fight will be very, very close. I won't be a bit surprised if it be a split decision. I won't be a bit surprised if people think Oleksandr Usyk won the fight. But I think at the end of the day, Oleksandr Usyk don't have enough power to actually take AJ to that dark place that he was in the Big Apple, New York City, when he took on a relatively unknown French contender in Andy Ruiz Jr. When he got caught with some shots, got caught with a punch he didn't see and never recovered from that punch. If Oleksandr Usyk, who says he's going to implement the same blueprint that Andy Ruiz Jr. implemented, if he's able to land that shot that Anthony Joshua doesn't see and take Anthony Joshua back to that dark place, then he can have similar success that Andy Ruiz had in the first fight. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. I advise both fighters to use their jab and utilize it in an effective way, because when they do use their jabs are very effective, but it's very inconsistent in the usage that both fighters have used in their past several fights. So we will see which guy implements the game plan. Now, Oleksandr Usyk has got in his corner Vasily Lomachenko's dad. I think in his last several fights, he's had another trainer that's his head trainer. So will that make a difference? I believe it will. I think it will make a positive difference as far as Oleksandr Usyk goes. I think you will see improved Oleksandr Usyk. I think you will see a better Oleksandr Usyk that you saw in the Chaz Witherspoon fight and the Derek Chisora fight. And I like what I've seen from Anthony Joshua in the Kubrat Pulev fight. You know, he seems like he has overcome those demons of that Vladimir Klitschko fight. Because when he went into that fight, he was one of those pressure combination fighters, a guy that was a seek and destroy type of fighter. After the Vladimir Klitschko fight, he was more of a safety first. Let me not take that many chances. I don't want to put my chin in harm's way type of fighter. I think he's gone back closer to the fighter he was before the Vladimir Klitschko fight from what I've seen in the Kubrat Pulev fight. And if that's a guy that shows up, we're going to have a very good and exciting heavyweight matchup. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts on who you like in this particular matchup. I like Anthony Joshua by close decision. Won't be a bit surprised if it's a split decision. But I like him to win this fight due largely to the fact that he's at home. He's in the UK. It's going to be a sellout crowd of 60,000 in attendance. They're going to be singing Old Caroline songs in the lead up to that fight. My bad, I said Old Carolina, Sweet Carolina. They're going to be singing Sweet Carolina. It's going to be a great scene to watch on TV. As you're gonna have that ring, you're gonna have a large crowd around that ring, and then when you look up in the stands, they're gonna be sold out, packed. It's gonna be a good thing to see on TV. I'm looking forward to this matchup, and hopefully, if AJ wins this fight, he takes on the winner of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Now, if Oleksandr Usyk wins this fight, he's gonna have to take an immediate rematch with Anthony Joshua, as they have a rematch clause in that contract. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts, who you like in this particular matchup, and do you think this fight goes the distance? And predict the winner in what round if you think it doesn't go the distance. Let me know your thoughts, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I holla.